Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram. Is it on?
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Guru Gaura Bhaktinda Gurave Gaura Chandaya Radha Kaya Kadava Krishna Krishna Bhakta Tad Bhakta Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutabada Kamalan Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Sirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitantam Srivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishagandvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dino Bandho Jagat Pade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sade Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivajadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaiti Jaiti Ramananda Rupam Murare Viramita Nijarar Madhyana Pujadyatam Katamapi Sakridata Muktinam Praninam Yat Paramamritam Ekaram Jivanam Mushanam De Madhuram Madhurebhyopi Mangalebhyopi Mangalam Pavanam Pavanebhyopi Hare Nama Hevake Hevalam Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Eva Kevalam Kula Nasti Eva Nasti Eva Nasti Eva Gatiranyata. A reading from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami, verse by verse in Sanskrit and commentary by Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, translated by His Holiness Bhanu Swami, disciple of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Eastern section, second way, Sadhana Bhakti. Text number 69. So, in regards to taking shelter of the Lord, to those who take shelter of Krishna, they're the best amongst all living entities. And if one is taking shelter of Krishna, then one is not obliged to serve the demigods, sages, family members, humankind, or forefathers, which ordinarily one is obliged to serve. But by surrendering to Krishna, then everything is accomplished. Text number 69, so from Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharmam parijjajya mamekam sharanam braja aham tam sarva pabebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaha. Giving up all dharma, surrender to me alone. I will deliver you from all sins. Do not fear. Famous verse from Bhagavad Gita. Jiva Goswami is commenting. Pari, the word pari fully should be understood to mean that the rejection should be complete. Sarvadharman parityajya. So, giving up all kinds of dharma. So that refers to Naimitika dharma. So here, important point mentioned by Jiva Goswami, that pari means fully. One should fully give up this material existence, ordinary duties. And then Mam ekam sharanam braja. So one should take shelter of Krishna fully. And then what is the result? I will free you from all sins, sarva pabebhyo. And then so Jiva Goswami is commenting that so that means I will free you from all impediments to bhakti. Somebody may be thinking that if you surrender to Krishna, whatever happened before, so sinful activities I may have performed, so I'll be relieved from that. So that is certainly there. But as we know, if you surrender to Krishna, and mostly of course due to sinful activities performed before, there are some impediments there. But even if one is relatively free from reactions of sinful activities, still impediments will be there. But one will be protected by Krishna. Krishna will help to overcome the obstacles, to overcome the difficulties. Jiva Goswami further is explaining, there's no sin for them because those with faith in bhakti give up the duties of dharma by the order of the Lord. So again here that refers to Naimitika dharma. Following Varnashram also. Of course, so we have to be practical and we have to see time, place and circumstances. So therefore, as a devotee, so we surrender to Krishna. At the same time, as much as possible, we also try to follow the duties which are mentioned in the scriptures, or Varna Ashram also. So we act according to Varna Ashram also, and follow the rules and regulations of Varna Ashram. So that usually we should do also. But of the two, so it is more important to do what Krishna wants. Mamekam Sharanam, take shelter of me. So like the gopis, so they surrendered to Krishna. And when Krishna was playing the flute at night time, so they left their homes and they left their duties at home, which usually should not be done. So it is mentioned that they take care of their husbands and the children also. But then they left because their love for Krishna more than love towards the family. So even some of the gopis, they were actually checked by their relatives. But then they still tried to go. But those who could not go, so then they were internally surrendering. And then with help of Yoga Maya, who supplied the spiritual body, of course spiritual body is already there ultimately. But then Yoga Maya left a replica body there so that the family members could not see that they were going. So it is mentioned, so they left the children also. And the Acharyas have explained actually that all the gopis who met Krishna, so they didn't have a connection with their so-called husbands also. And so they didn't have children. So then it is mentioned, how come it is mentioned? So then somebody may say, how it is mentioned that they left their children? So the Acharyas have explained that they were taking care also sometimes, which is natural in the joint family, they were taking care of their in-laws' children, so husbands, brother children, or husband, sister children, or whatever it may be. So they were taking to some extent care of all the children, but when Krishna played the flute, they just left them. And they went to see Krishna. And it was late at night already. So that is their example of the gopis. And so therefore this verse, the previous verse was there. From the Srimad Bhagavatam. And there's a famous verse also. So that is from 11th canto. There's a famous verse also in the 10th canto in this regard, in Uddhav Gita. So the gopis surrender to Krishna. And they left everything. So here they surrendered to Krishna and they disregarded the duty of the rules and regulations of Varnashram. So that is actually the meaning of this verse also, Sarva Dharman Parijyaja, because usually we don't give up Dharma. So, but in regards to when one is surrendering to Krishna, then one can give up the Naimittika Dharma, which is related to the body. By surrendering to Krishna, one is then not obliged to follow completely Naimittika Dharma, Varnashram also. So that should be understood. But in ordinary sense, in normal life, one of course has to follow also rules and regulations of Varna Ashram. But at the same time one will try to surrender to Krishna. Text number 70. Agastya Samhitayam. So the Agastya Samhita decides. Yatha vidhi nishedhautu muktam naivo pasarpataha tathana sprishato ramupasakam vidipurvakam. Tathana sprishato ramupasaka. Upasakam vidipurvakam. Just as the rules and prohibitions of the Smriti scriptures do not approach a liberated person, the rules and prohibitions applicable to Vedic or Tantric worship also do not touch the worshipper of Ram. Jiva Goswami's commentary. The rules and prohibitions, Vidhi Nishedau, Vidhi and Nished, mentioned in this verse are those belonging to the Smritis, dealing with Vana Ashram in the material gunas. These do not apply to the liberated person beyond the gunas, beyond the modes of material nature. The worshipper of Ram, a Vaishnav, is also not obligated to follow the rules of worship according to the Vedas or Tantric texts. Vidipurvakam. That is because those rules enjoin worship of devatas. He still follows the rules of Bhakti as a follower of Vaidhi Bhakti. So one has to follow rules and regulations. Vidhi and Nished. But more important than that is that one has to surrender to Krishna or Vishnu or Ram or Narayan. One has to remember the Supreme Lord. Smatavya satatam Vishnur vismatavya najatu chit sarva vidhi nisheda sureta yore kinkaraha. So, Smatavya satatam Vishnur. We should always remember Vishnu or Krishna. Vismatavya najatu chit. And we should never forget him. Sarva vidhi nisheda sur. All rules and regulations, eta yoreve kinkaha, are subservient to this too. What to do? To remember Krishna. What not to do? Forget him. So it is forbidden not to remember Krishna or Vishnu. So that is most important rule, is to remember or serve Krishna, and the prohibition is not to serve and not to remember him. So it is forbidden to forget him. So Jiva Goswami pointing out here so rules and regulations that are mentioned in this verse, they apply to Vana Ashram. But then specifically also this actually understood that when we perform devotional service, we have to follow the rules and regulations of Bhakti, Vaidhi Bhakti. So one should rise early in the morning. Pratah snan, one should take a bath early in the morning. So that we have to do. At the same time, so If one is beyond the modes of material nature, as mentioned here, then that does not apply either. Like Madhavendra Puri, the spiritual master of Mahaprabhu, spiritual master. So he was fully absorbed in chanting the holy names and remembering Krishna. And so he was extremely renounced. And he was, so when he came to Braj also, he was simply chanting the holy names and not even begging for something to eat. Just depending on Krishna, and that Krishna will provide. Aishchidvrat. So he took this vow that he will not even ask anybody for something to eat or for his maintenance. If somebody would give, then he would take. If not, then he would fast and just chant. But then, of course, Krishna reciprocated and he himself came to give him milk. So Madhavendra Puri also, he wrote some wonderful verses. And one of them he's explaining there that Pranam to Prahatasnam, to my morning bath. Pranam to the chanting of the Gayatri mantras. Now, since I can always remember Krishna, who is performing pastimes in Braj in the courtyard of Nanda Maharaja's palace. So, remembering him, I do not feel to do anything else. I do not need to do anything else. So he was remembering Krishna Braj. And so there's those great personalities, so they were hardly eating and sleeping. So therefore, just like if during the day we take some prasad, sufficient prasad, but then we take a little rest. Then we may not have to take bath after that. We just get up and we continue to our devotional activities. But then if you have to go to the bathroom and so evacuate, then we have to take bath. Or worship the deities, then we have to take bath. But these great personalities like Madhavendra Puri, so they hardly ate anything. So they hardly slept. Like night time we take rest, and even if longer time, even if we don't have to go to the bathroom to pass stool, but then still we take bath. We have to take bath for purification. But they hardly slept. So there's no question of contamination. Sometimes then he just always chanted holy names till late at night, and then he just dozed off for 1 hour or so. Most probably then also even while lying down or sitting, whatever, chanting or remembering Krishna. So then getting up and continuing chanting. So then no need to take bath. Pranam to taking early morning bath. Because taking bath, it will take 15-20 minutes at least. Why to waste this much time? And then chanting Gayatri mantra. Of course, usually we chant every day also. That is a rule. 3 times a day. And that is also helpful. But If one is fully absorbed in chanting the holy names, there is no need of chanting Gayatri. If one has realized one's relationship with Krishna, one is engaged in that relationship. So chanting Mahamantra is most important. And even in the liberated state, one will chant the holy names. But the Gayatri mantra then will not be chanted. Like the gopis, sometimes they chant the holy names. Especially when they feel separation from Krishna, then they chant the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, chanting the holy names is most important. Most important activity. Most important level of devotional service. And everything else is secondary. So what to speak of are the rules and regulations. If possible, one will follow. But if one is absorbed in chanting the holy names, then one may sometimes neglect the duties of Varnashram or the rules and regulations of the scriptures. And there is no harm if one is properly situated and internally absorbed in Krishna. So in the Vedic literatures or tantras, as mentioned here by Jiva Goswami, that one is following the rules vidhi purvakam, but only these which are favorable. And that may be according to time, place and circumstances. Text number 71. Ekadashe eva, from the 11th canto. Sapadamulam bhajata priyasya kyatanya bhavasya hari paresha vikamai chat yachat chotpatitam katanchit dunoti sarvam hridisa nivishto. So, in this verse it is mentioned, who is thus giving up all other engagements and has taken full shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Hari, the Supreme Personality of God, that is very dear to the Lord. Indeed, if such a surrendered soul accidentally commits some sinful activity, the Supreme Personality of God that is seated within everyone's heart immediately takes away the reaction to such sin. So before also, a similar verse was mentioned from the first canto. Tyaktva sadharmam charanam bhujam harer vajan pakva tatpate tato yadi. So similar meaning is there. If one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, but and is giving up all occupational duties according to Varnashram. And if somehow, due to immaturity, he he falls down, but still there's no harm. If he's continuously engaged in devotional service, then Krishna will rectify the situation. So that is it's also in this verse. And Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Apichetcharo charo bhajate mamanajaba sarureva samatavya samyagyavastite saha. Apichetsudur acharo. Durachar means improper behavior. Achar, sadachar is proper behavior. Sudur is very improper behavior. So if one is due to immaturity engaged in improper behavior, so then that is, of course, from one point of view, it is not nice and should not be done, but at the same time, if due to immaturity or previous impressions and then reactions thereof, so if one is engaged in this kind of activities, then, but if he's then continuing with devotional service, he will be rectified. So Krishna himself, so he's saying, and he should be considered saintly. But if again and again and again, so Prabhupada is explained in the purport, is engaged in these activities which are not proper, then he may be deprived of the mercy of the Lord. And then he may have to suffer to be rectified. So Jiva Goswami is mentioning, from one who has given up thoughts of worshipping anyone else, Tyaktanya Bhavasya, whose affection for the Lord and worships his feet, even if suddenly, by chance, he commits some sinful action, Utpatitam Katanchit, the Supreme Lord situated in the heart purifies all of that. So here, interesting, Jiva Goswami is mentioning that one has given up the thoughts of worshipping anybody else than Krishna. And the one who has affection for the Lord and worships his lotus feet. But if due to previous impressions he commits some sinful activity, the Supreme Lord will protect him. Supreme Lord will rectify the situation. The Supreme Lord will purify him. So that is a special mercy of the Lord. And so as mentioned also that in this verse that these devotees who have taken shelter of Krishna, so they are very dear to Krishna. But then if there's some mistake is there, then Krishna will all overlook that. He will not take it seriously. So, but at the same time, so one has to understand one's mistake and try to rectify to some extent. And one should repent, be remorseful. Oh, why did I do this? It's not proper. But if one is not doing so, then it may become namaparad. And then committing sinful activities on the strength of the holy names of the Lord. So that is namaparad, 7th offense. So therefore one has to be careful and one has to avoid any sexual activities, avoid any offense, any improper behavior, activity, so that we have to avoid. So otherwise, one will be deprived of the mercy of the Lord. If again and again it is happening, if one is not sincere enough. Then one will be under the most material nature, and then Krishna may not take so much interest. And then one will suffer. One will have to suffer the reaction of sinful activities. Text number 72. Hari Bhakti Vilasesya Bhaktir Angani Lakshasah Kintu Tani Prasiddhani Nirdeshyante Yatamati. Translation: in Hari Bhakti Vilas, innumerable angas of bhakti are mentioned. Among those, the most famous ones will be explained to the best of my judgment. So many angas, many limbs of devotional service are mentioned in the scriptures. So Rupa Goswami has also mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in this same book here, 64 limbs. And then so he's explaining here, Rupa Goswami, that I will explain the most important one, most famous ones, to the best of my judgment. So he's taking a humble position also. In Hari Bhakti Vilas, so that Sanatana Goswami has explained. And so Rupa Goswami is mentioning this limbs also here. Atra Angalakshanam Ashitavantaraneka Vedam kevalam evava ekam kamatra vidvadbhir ekam bhakti angam uchyate. So in bhakti the characteristics of an anga are as follows. The learned define an anga of bhakti as a complete or as a complex of devotional actions which with internal divisions, or only one action of bhakti which does not have clearly defined differences within it. Jiva Goswami is commenting. An example of a complex of action is archana. So deity worship. So that is, as we know, archana, so that is one limb of devotional service, worshipping the deities. So But deity worship, so archana, is not just taking an incense and then just doing a few circles with the incense. And just lighting one ghee lamp and just offering a few circles. So, but it is very complex actually. Just the word archana, deity worship. And so much to be explained about that. So, one has to take bath and put on fresh clothes. One has to perform ashman for purification. One is chanting some mantras for purification. And there is a certain way of doing the various services, like offering bhoga. One is first washing the feet of the Lord or his hands. And then one will purify the bhoga, one will chant some mantras so the Lord may accept. And then the pujari may chant. So some mantras. So first for purification, sprinkling water and chanting some mantras, and then for offering, chanting mantra. And then he may chant Gayatri. So then in this way, then the offering is done, and then after, so washing the hands and the mouth of the Lord, offering a cloth to dry his mouth. So that may be performed. And then one will do artik, a certain way how to do artik. So it is very complex. But by practicing one will learn, and then one can do it properly. So but the guidance is required of the advanced devotees. Only one action means action without clear internal division. So, such as taking shelter of the Guru's feet or standing when a deity procession comes. So, deity worship is complex and internal divisions are there. But taking shelter of the Guru Padashray. So that is more simple as one action. One sees the Guru, one offers obeisances. Of course, that may also be a little more elaborate. And so one is just bowing down, but one is then also taking actual shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Guru. And while bowing down, he will try, of course, to touch the lotus feet. But then, so while bowing down also, he will so also chant some mantra. So it is mentioned also, usually if we are offering obeisances to Sri Guru or the deities, then one should chant one mantra also, in glorification of Guru, in glorification of the deities. And then usually so, taking shelter of Sri Guru, offering obeisances is there, but the proper consciousness has to be there also. And one will offer obeisances and one will glorify Sri Guru, and then one should be in seva bhav, seva vritti, being eager to serve and then following the instructions of the spiritual master, of the Guru. Tadvidi pai patane pai prashna sevaya. So seva bhav should be there. And then not only seva bhava, but an actual service should be performed. So, but basically it is mentioned as one action. So it is not as complex as deity worship. So text number 74. So the list is giving Guru Padashrayas Tasmar Krishna Dikshaditik Shikshanam Vishrambena Guru Seva Sadhu Vatma Anuvartanam Sadhu Vatma Anuvartanam. So first of all, Guru Padashraya, taking sight of the Guru. And then Krishna Diksha, one will take initiation from the spiritual master. And so then Shiksha, one will acquire knowledge, one will then try to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. So further also it is pointed out that in regards to initiation, acquiring knowledge, this comment echoes the traditional Vedic system of initiation, in which a person receives Vedic initiation, Upanayanam, with Vedic Gayatri mantra. This qualifies him to study the Vedas. This tradition continued even with Pancharatric initiation and study. So the two systems, one is Pancharatric, and then what is the Vedic. So however, when now Sankirtan becomes predominant, the requirement of Diksha before Shiksha does not have the same importance. So that is mentioned also if one is chanting. One can chant the holy names of the Lord any time. One does not have to wait for Diksha, or even for that matter Shiksha also. So simply by chanting the holy names, benefit will be there. So further it is explained here. That if one is taking this initiation, Upanayan, and chanting Gayatri mantras, that qualifies him to study the Vedas. So, but more important actually is chanting the holy names. And so, and that for that one does not have to take initiation. So even before initiation, one may chant the holy names, and one may get some instructions also. But of course, then approaching the spiritual master and getting initiated, then one may be able to chant better the holy names. only from getting instructions, hearing Gokatha, Krishna Katha, so that will nourish one's spiritual life, the creep of devotional service. And so one may be able to chant better. That should be understood. And actually that is very much required ultimately. In the unified state, simply chanting of the holy names, that will not be sufficient to advance. But one has to hear sufficiently from the devotees who are more advanced. And then one may be able to advance. So Jiva Goswami is commenting further. In this work, the numbering is of two types: natural sequence of the verses and added ones for enumerating the sequence supplied by the commentary. The previous type has two dots on the head, and the later type does not. In the phrase Krishna Adi Shikshanam, the word Adi has the sense of in the beginning. Thus the phrase means acquiring knowledge after or accompanied by initiation with Krishna mantra. Sadhuvatmanuvartanam, following the path of the acharyas, means following the rules of the Shruti and other scriptures enjoined by the acharyas. So here systematic mentioning of the verses are there. So natural sequence is there. So for example, first Guru Padashraya, you take shelter of the spiritual master, and then after that, and naturally when you take shelter, then Diksha will be there, initiation, and Shiksha will be there, receiving instructions, or receiving this transcendental knowledge, guidelines. But an additional verses may be there to elaborate more. So just like, for example, so one is taking initiation, and as we know, at that time someone is serving the spiritual master. And it is usually just like in taking shelter of Krishna. But then it should be Anukul and Krishna Anushirinam. It should be favorable. And it should be according to instructions, according to Krishna's desire. Similarly, we take shelter of the spiritual master. So it should be then also should be favorable. And it should be according to the desire of the spiritual master. And then Vishrambena Guru Seva. So there's an intimate relationship is there with the spiritual master, in the sense that when we try to understand the heart of the spiritual master, what he wants us to do. So that is first class devotee, disciple. The spiritual master does not even have to tell what he has to do, he will know. Because he has heard from the spiritual master, he understands his mood, and then he will try to adopt that. And so then, so that is Vishambena Guru Seva. So which ultimately should be done, just not just externally, but understanding the mood of spiritual master, and then trying to serve according to his desire. So here, also Jiva Goswami is pointing out Krishna Diksha Adi. So Krishna Diksha Adi. So here is explaining Adi. So Adi usually means and so on. So one takes initiation, but that's not everything. So if one is taking initiation, so even as we know that the word initiation, so according to the English dictionary. So initiation means it is the beginning of something. One is initiated in something. So we initiate some program or something. So initiation means the beginning. And so of course, so Diksha is the initiation. Diksha is the beginning of spiritual life. Of course, then the word Diksha is there also. Someone is receiving transcendental knowledge and Ksha, so then the sinful or the unwanted things in the heart, so they are then destroyed by receiving knowledge, and that's the rendering with the spiritual master. So Diksha is the beginning of spiritual life. So then for this explaining Dikshadi Shikshanam. Shiksha. So here is explaining, so then acquiring knowledge after or accompanied by initiation with Krishna. By initiation with Krishna mantra. So usually one is acquiring knowledge and then one will be initiated. So by coming in contact with the spiritual master, then there's an exchange, and then one will see, oh, I can learn something from him, and then one will take initiation. So therefore it is mentioned also, first one is observing the spiritual master, and then the spiritual master is observing the disciple also to see if he's qualified. And then initiation may be there. And actually, so Diksha and Shiksha. So, but actually, Shiksha is more important than Diksha even. So in Diksha usually it is, especially nowadays, it is more formal acceptance. of the spiritual master, or the spiritual master accepting the disciple. So sometimes devotees say that at the time of initiation, so the spiritual master is there and is establishing our relationship with Krishna. But actually the relationship with Krishna is already there. But it is dormant, it is not developed, it is not revealed. But the spiritual master saw, observing the disciples, so then he sees that he's sincere. And then he's accepting the disciple, and then he's practically offering the disciple to Krishna. Oh, look here, my dear Lord, see, I have one soul. And so he's sincere person. So I'm offering him to you. So, but the connection is already there. That is inherent in the soul. The spiritual master is helping the disciple to understand his relationship with Krishna. But so initiation, so that is then the spiritual master accepting that soul, that sadhaka practicing devotee, seeing his sincerity, and then because of the intervention of the spiritual master, because the spiritual master is accepting him, then he will be accepted by Krishna also. Krishna will say, okay, my dear devotee is taking charge of that conditioned soul and is helping him because he has some sincerity. And so when Krishna is accepting, when the spiritual master is accepting a devotee, then it means Krishna is accepting also. But the main thing is the shiksha, actually. And Prabhupada has mentioned initiation is a formality. And even vidvadrugi, it is explained. So real initiation is done by reciprocal acceptance from the heart, more than the external. So only seeing this person, this Vaishnava is exalted, and let me try to hear from him, let me try to serve him, and may be benefited. So from the heart, and that is most important. And then, so then the initiation, then that is a formality, external. But the main thing is the internal acceptance and then dedication and surrendering. Of course, in the beginning, the surrendering is partial, is not complete. If one is on the modes of material nature, one cannot really surrender. But one is trying, offering obeisances and trying then to follow the spiritual master, but it is no complete surrender. Only one is purified in existence, in consciousness, and then one becomes relatively free from the modes of material nature, then surrender is there. And then true humility is there, and faith will be there. Dhrya Vishwas, strong faith, unbreakable faith. So, but then it is, so in regards to the spiritual master and the relationship, the main thing is the instructions that will help the consciousness, that will help the practicing devotee. So, and of course, usually Someone is getting shiksha, and then one will take diksha. And so then the diksha is giving shiksha. But if the diksha guru is not available, then shiksha guru may be there. And usually diksha and shiksha guru, they are one. Akhanda guru tattva. If they are in the same mood. Sajatya bhakta, so we should see. It should be Sajatya bhakta. So, but if Diksha Guru is not there, then one may have Shiksha Guru. And then one can advance. Sadhuvatmanuvartanam. Sadhuvartma. Varta means the path. Sadhu, the path given by the acharyas, by the sadhus. Mahajani Yinagatta Sapantaha. Panta again here. Panta or Vatma. Panta means the path. So one follows the path which the acharyas are showing, and they themselves are following the path. And so one will follow that path, the path of the acharyas. So if we're going somewhere, so we should know the path, and then we follow the path. But so then the acharyas are there to guide, to help, so we can properly follow the path. And so he's mentioning also following the rules of the scriptures. So given by the acharya. Any question?
The real definition of sincerity, because generally we see in our consciousness those who are near Gurudev, they are considered more like sincere. But how to practice this thing?
Yeah. No, it's not the. It doesn't mean if one is close to the Guru that one is sincere. Some are there who are close to the Guru, but they are then not really following Guru. So, and sometimes they have, so they are there with the Guru just to also show off, or sometimes they're Guru Bhogi, then they want to enjoy the situation, or enclose the Guru and then so they may not have the proper understanding and consciousness. So sincerity means you follow sincerely the instructions of the spiritual master. So Guru Vani is more important than Vapu. Following the instructions of the spiritual master is more important than being near the Guru. Or Vani Seva is more important than Vapu Seva. So sincere means, or how to be sincere means you follow strictly the instructions of the spiritual master. That is sincerity. And they're trying to do that constantly. So of course, again, if one is on the modes of material nature, then one cannot be fully sincere. Because under the modes of material nature, then will be mode of passion and ignorance, and the mode of passion means trying to fulfill one's material desires also. So then, if that is there, then one is not able to be completely sincere. So therefore we have to continue with our devotional service to the best of our ability, and then we have to try to overcome the modes of material nature as much as possible. But so we just try, but we need a mercy from Sri Guru Gauranga. Then one can be successful. Then one can be really sincere and surrender. So, but it is a matter of practice and constant endeavor for perfection. But then one has to be enthusiastic, one has to be fixed, always engage in devotional activities, trying to avoid unwanted association and be in good association. But then one has to be patient, one has to be very patient, because it is not just possible to immediately fully surrender. So it's difficult to fully surrender unless the situation is there, just like, who was it, Katwanga Maharaj? So he had fought against demons with the demigods, and he was a very powerful king, and so he helped them, and so then he blessed him. He blessed. So I said, okay, I want to know something. How much time I will be living in this world? And he said, yeah, just one moment. And then he surrendered. So because he came to know he's about to leave his body. So then when you know I'm going to die in 5 minutes, then you know, okay, then you will surrender. It's easier, right? But if you don't know, and then, okay, take it easy, and then...
But sometimes you might ask.
Yeah. So, but if you know, like Parikshit Maharaj, 7 days, then he just gave up eating and sleeping, and drinking water also, because he knew I'm going to give up this body. Then it's easier, but in normal life we don't know, and then it is a little more difficult to surrender and to be serious. Unless one is already purified in consciousness, then. But for the normal sadhaka, it is not easy. So we try to be sincere, and Krishna will appreciate you trying to be sincere. You're trying to surrender, trying to be humble. So, but through humility, full surrender, that will take some time. But you have to be patient with yourself, and then you have to be patient with others. But first you have to be patient with yourself and understand your position, that I'm insignificant, and Kam, Krodh, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya are still there. Then, so one who is actually then truly humble, so therefore he will never think I'm such an exalted devotee. And then many times then, because he thinks he's insignificant, so he will even be hesitant to try to correct others. because he thinks first, I should try to become perfect, then I can help others. So, but then usually those who are in the position, then being inspired by the Lord, they will be able to correct or help others. Like the father is there, he may not be perfect, but it is his duty to take care of the children and correct them, although they are also maybe not perfect, but then, they have to do the duty. But then, and if the child is smart, and sometimes he will correct the father, hey, why are you doing this? Like Dhruv, right? Sometimes he's correcting you. Papa, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And then the father, what he can do. But still then, as much as you know, you have to help and tell him this is right, this is wrong. But sometimes the children are smart. And sometimes they are more advanced. But then if they are more advanced, they will not try to correct the father. And they will be humble. Okay, yes, Pitaji. Okay, Pitaji. So like this. Anyhow, so we try to be sincere, we try to be humble. And yes, so and then of course Shiksha, so or acquiring knowledge. So different kinds of knowledge is there also, even in regards to spiritual life. One is, for example, in regards to performing devotional service, and then following rules and regulations, which we have to know and we have to follow. And but then more important is as the internal aspect, or then of course with hearing about Mahaprabhu and Krishna and their pastimes. So that's the most important. So he's hearing about the wonderful pastimes of Mahaprabhu and Krishna. And by hearing about Mahaprabhu's pastimes with his devotees, then automatically one will get transcendental knowledge. So one is enlivened by hearing about Mahaprabhu and about Krishna. About the wonderful name, form, qualities, and pastimes especially of the Lord. They are very attractive, very beautiful. And so that is most important. Then Krishna or Mahaprabhu will be there in our consciousness, in our heart. So therefore that is most important, is to hear about the Lord and His wonderful qualities and pastimes. And then usually then we learn also so much from that, because then instructions will be there also. Of course, two kinds of pastimes, the pastimes in the spiritual world and then the pastimes in this material world. So the pastimes in this material world, so they are more also there to give some instructions, some guidelines on how to perform devotional service, how to advance. And the pastimes in the spiritual world, they are there to be heard and to be relished. And then one becomes attracted, attached to the wonderful pastimes of Mahaprabhu or Krishna in the spiritual realm. But then the pastimes in this world are there. Of course, also they are very attractive, because Krishna and Mahaprabhu, they are always attractive, even in this world. But then we can learn so much also from the activities of the Lord in this world. So like Mahaprabhu, then he came as a devotee to show how to perform devotional service, and then he gave knowledge, Shikshashtakam. He gave knowledge to Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and told them to write books. And Krishna, he spoke the Bhagavad Gita. for our benefit. And he spoke to Uddhav, as mentioned in 11th canto. So many wonderful instructions in regards to how to perform devotional service, in regards to Vana Ashram. And then there's one full chapter in regards to deity worship. So the pastimes of Krishna in this world are also, or Mahaprabhu, they are very instructive, they are important for us. And the pastimes in the spiritual realm, so they are to be contemplated ultimately, and then we may relish them also. But always there by being there ready to serve in Seva Bhav. So, but first we are more hearing about the pastimes in this world. So we become purified in existence and consciousness, and then we can appreciate more the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, Krishna, and the spiritual realm. So that is there. Any more questions? Okay. What?
Patience is the key.
Yeah.